Welcome to the Move Happy Moving podcast. My name is Peter Kim um, with Erin Nicole, obviously doing the Move Happy Moving podcast. Erin's guest today is Chad Kennedy from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, part of the Sheriff's Highway Patrol, founder of C2C for PTSD. Erin, the show is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited and honored to have you as a guest today, Chad. Welcome all the way from Canada. We got two countries represented. I'm just honored. Thank you for your time today.
Sweet, Erin. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, for those that don't know your background, don't know your story, let's start with your origin story.
My origin story originated here in Alberta, in beautiful Rocky Mountains, small tourist town, Banff, that happens to be known all around the world.
Yeah.
Son of a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And my mother was a very proud registered nurse. So I grew up in the emergency service community.
Yeah.
And being the son of what we call up here a Mountie, it's taken me all across the country. And now I'm back here in Alberta and followed in Dad's footsteps and proud member of the Alberta Sheriff's Highway Patrol.
Love that. That's awesome. And you kind of mentioned two things that really stood out, that first responder aspect and also the medical aspect too. I think we're highly shaped by those that we're raised from. We can always make decisions otherwise, but I feel like that helps to kind of shape us into the people that we are today. Would you say, for those listening, that you have that you lean more towards the first responder kind of focus or the medical focus, or a little bit of both? What do you think?
Well, I think a little bit of both. Obviously, both are just my opinion, and stepping outside of the uniform, noble careers that allow others to help those who can't help themselves.
Yeah.
So, if I was perhaps that all-star in school growing up, I may have gone the medical route, and not taking anything away from law enforcement that plays a big role in society. Obviously, keeping the peace and helping others.
Yeah.
And more frontline. I take out of the frontline policing aspect, being able to deal with other human beings, whether it's good times or bad times. Being connected with people is huge for me.
I love that. And that's a huge part of our mental health and well-being as well. And you kind of tied that in nicely with our second pillar. So I'll skip to second question. What are some tips and strategies you've learned in regards to building strong relationships, whether professionally or outside of work hours?
Well, I think the biggest thing, as a person, and you'll hear me say quite a bit, I'm just a guy. As a guy, as a person, as a human, to me, it's important to treat people the way that I would like to be treated myself. So, it's a lot of people, perception is we put on a uniform and there's an ego attached to that uniform, where I find it the other way around. The ego gets checked when I put on my uniform. I strongly believe in serving the people, being there for the people and working with the people. So, like I said, first and foremost is treating people with respect and treating them with the way I myself would like to be treated.
Yeah, I think you bring a great point too, because when we are kind to others and go out of our way above and beyond, that's kind of where the supernatural power really comes from, I feel like. And that's what helps us connect with others. I mean, like, for example, the two of us connecting through a social media platform and being able to, have a few experiences together. You got to be a part of the concert a couple weeks ago, and, just having that strong community, even though we're, miles apart, right? Or kilometers, maybe 1,000 or so or more distance wise, but that power of, with our intention of reaching out to others online and using our powers for good, I'd say has really, helped positively impact, I know, my mental well-being as well. The more awesome people I get to connect with, like yourself. So thank you for those tips. And part of that too, I feel like the more confident we are internally, then we can reach out to others. And that kind of ties into our first pillar of Move Happy, is all about mindset. And, being in the profession that you are, and then founding your C2C for PTSD, what are some, I'd imagine you've been through some pretty traumatic things. You've seen some things in your career path that average people do not come across. They don't see that on a regular basis. What are some strategies you've learned either yourself or from others that you've worked with to keep a positive mindset despite, all that negativity or all that death and dismemberment that you've had to witness firsthand?
Right. Well, man, I think what continuously we are learning about ourselves.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, being diagnosed with PTSD, and reaching out for help, first and foremost is finding that strength to reach out for help. The
Yeah.
hardest step.
Yep. I agree.
Lived with the diagnosis of PTSD for a few years. Then I had another life-changing experience well in the course of my duties. After that, I figured, man, I've got to reach out for help
Yeah.
again. So I did. And a great gentleman by the name of Terrence Kossakar, who is the founder of Camp My Way in British Columbia,
Yeah.
basically stuck his hand out, saved me when I reached out for help the second time.
Awesome.
And teaching me or I guess giving me the tools, lending me the tools of disconnecting from whatever it is that might be going on in my brain, everyday life, putting on a uniform, hopping into my car, dreading the next call, to reconnecting with the great outdoors, Mother Nature, and going through a reset. Let's get back to our roots. Or our roots, sorry. Let's get away from technology. Let's just get back to Mother Nature and everything she has to offer, and a place where there's nobody judging you.
Yeah.
And from there, you find that what I have found is I can feed off of the negative energy that everybody has around me. I guess the bullying type, or the people that want to whisper behind your back when you're down, versus stepping up and asking if you're all right. It's easier to mock. So we can feed off the negative energy, or we can find that strength within ourselves to push forward and in a positive light. With all the social media stuff that I do, I will find inspirational quotes, motivational quotes, experiences that I've gone through, and push positive towards healing, versus finding all the what's wrong with our systems, and whether we're emergency services or military. What we have is a disconnect with management and higher ranking officials, that the disconnect from the frontline workers that are out there, boots on the ground, that are dealing with this crap day in, day out. And it's not just a switch. We can't just turn stuff off. We deal with one thing and we move on to the next. So, the tools given to me with um, or I guess the seeds planted in my brain
Mm-hmm.
from those have been the positive influences in my life at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is I feed off that positive, and I think the dark path that so many of us have gone down
Yeah.
is easy. It's easy to allow it to fester in our brain like a weed in the garden. If you
Yes.
don't deal with it, it grows out of control.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know if that directly answered what you were asking. Um,
I
there's
think,
just that.
yeah. I think you definitely have answered it, and you answered it in your own way. You've gotten some social support, some actual medical training tools that have been shared with you from the founder of the Can't My Way. I think also the power of just talking about the struggle makes it less powerful too, and it helps to bring some sort of sense of confidence within your mind. Would you agree with that, or am I way off?
I would agree. I think, as a promoter, well, accidentally I fall into this role of mental health advocate,
Yeah.
which I'm honored that somebody had given me that title a few months back.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you are.
Absolutely, and like say, I'm just a guy, and to have a title like that and to be promoting positive with operational stress injuries and PTSD
Yep.
is a great thing, because everybody dwells on the stigma attached um, to our injuries,
Yeah.
which is horrible. But it goes right back to really um, promoting to everybody. You're not alone. First
Yeah.
and foremost, you're not alone.
Yep.
It's PTSD doesn't discriminate. It's an equal opportunist. It
Yep.
doesn't know borders. It doesn't know rank.
Yep.
Um, we're going through this COVID pandemic. Well,
Yeah.
PTSD. Um, just my humble opinion.
Hmm.
Maybe not a pandemic. Um, uh, I get pandemic strength, but we definitely have an epidemic going on with our first responders and military brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
We the hardest step, asking for help. B, let's recover out loud. Let's start the conversation um, after we go through a really crappy situation,
Yeah.
instead of keeping it bottled up.
Yeah.
We're so afraid of being judged.
Hmm.
Um, so that big tough guy, I'm not a tall guy. I'm not. I'm far from a tall guy, but that that guy or gal that you're working with that might be 6'5" and just solid muscle, might be going through exactly the same thing
Yep.
that you and I are going through.
Yeah.
But now we've got that barrier.
Hmm.
Geez, if I tell Erin that this is what I'm going through, Erin may judge me, and that might ruin a friendship. So we harbor all this negative stuff inside our brain. We don't know how to um, put what's going through our brain into words. We can't explain it to our loved ones. We can't explain it to our friends, to our family, and now the place that we should be able to ask for help, our workplace,
Yeah.
we're too afraid to speak about it. And unfortunately, um, when we're not speaking about it or asking for help, we have this suicide epidemic going on,
Yes.
which is horrible.
Yes.
So, we need to get the word out. You're not alone. There's always somebody there. We all have those, I call them fake friends.
Yes.
The people that are always there. Oh man, you need anything at all, give me a phone call, reach out to me. I'm there for you. Well, you reach out to that great friend. Oh,
Hmm.
sorry, dude, I'm busy right now. Sorry, man, I don't have a moment for you. And that moment, that 2 minutes, might be enough to save somebody's life.
Yep.
Um, So, I try not to judge those who judge me. Um, I really try to find forgiveness.
Yeah.
Um, um, is it ignorance? Is it people afraid? Are they afraid that we're contagious? I don't know what it is. But by being able to forgive people,
Hmm.
and just letting them know, dude, when you're hitting your darkest hour, I'm going to be here for you. And I'm not just talking the talk, I walk the walk.
Hmm.
Um, Even though you weren't there for me, know that I'll be there for you.
Yeah.
Um, but that's where it starts. It all
Yeah.
starts with being there for each other.
Yeah.
Um, I often ask the question, if we as emergency service workers, and military are out there, um, keeping the world safe, keeping our communities safe, taking care of those who can't
Yeah.
take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Why is it in our little emergency service and military communities that we can't take care of one another?
Mm.
That I don't know, and hopefully somebody out there has the answer.
Yeah. You raise a really good point with that. And going back to what you said about the contagious thing, I found it was really interesting that you used that language. When I first started sharing Move Happy content on Instagram and Facebook, I was doing at that time, it was a couple years ago, like 2019. The ads were, it was very profitable as far as like, getting a lot of views for your, $20 or whatever. And what I found when I started posting is they actually blocked me from running an ad, and I had to counter and write a reason why I was doing it, because they saw the word depression and they pulled down my whole post. I had to do it multiple times until finally I reached out to them and said, I have a mental health business and I'm trying to reduce stigma. I had to change the spelling of the word, spell it incorrectly in order for it to actually post, because they had their algorithms, because it's bad publicity to have someone die on your social media app. And so they categorized everyone as, you write that word, well, then you must be having a bad day. And we don't want that on our platform at all, instead of having like an actual human being. So they started finally, when I got consistent with it, then they wanted to talk to me and interview me to speak on stage to help other businesses grow their social media accounts. I was like, what? And that was within the first 4 months. So I say that to say, keep going. For whatever reason, everybody has their reasons for being afraid or ashamed to talk about this. But we need to keep talking about it and band together, because it is the globally the most expensive condition diagnosed in the world and the least financially supported. Um,
Right.
so I love what you're doing. Let's talk a little bit more about the C2C for PTSD. What is that about?
Well, I'll go back to last July 18th. I had a life-changing event that work related,
Mm-hmm.
horrible bus crash.
Mm.
Um, July 18th, a couple days after, like I mentioned, I reached out for help.
Yeah.
Terrence was there to pick me up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was having problems talking about what was going on with me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
There were the friends, real friends that I was able to speak to,
Mm-hmm.
and get stuff off my chest and out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But my relationship at that time, as much as my spouse at the time understood that I had PTSD, didn't understand um, the darkness associated with PTSD, and she didn't. I guess as much as I believe she wanted to help me, it she just wasn't understanding what I needed for help.
Yeah.
And So from there, I realized that if I can't speak to my spouse about what is happening, how are other people supposed to understand what is happening with our emergency service and military communities?
Yeah.
Um, so the decision was made, sitting around a campfire in my backyard, that we really need to raise awareness um, of PTSD amongst these communities.
Yeah.
Joe Blow public doesn't know what's going on. They don't understand what's going on.
Hmm.
So, just on a whim is, man, I'm going to walk the country, Canada, that is,
Yeah.
from coast to coast. So from the West Coast, British Columbia, all the way out to the East Coast to Newfoundland. Um, but not just walking to raise awareness. It's walking and spending 2 nights, 2.5 days in communities along the way.
I love that.
So basically, the walk would be Monday to Friday,
Hmm.
just like a job, very routine, 8 hours a day of solid walking. Um, our Fridays would be, we stop in a community along the way. We chat with schools, start educating our younger generation
Yeah.
on emotional well-being, mental health,
Hmm.
and the importance it plays. And it doesn't matter what career you go into or where life takes you,
Hmm.
the taking care of your brain
Yes.
is so important. And then from there, we've got the schools, stop at military bases, uh, yeah, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police detachments, our city police forces,
Yeah.
um, our fire departments, our hospitals, and let's get the conversation going
Mhm.
amongst our first responders and our military folk, and get the communities involved.
Mhm.
Let the communities that live in the same neighborhood as our first responders, and these, they know each other. You're talking these small communities that we just take for granted, that, well, Joe's a firefighter, um, Erin's a cop, Frank's a doctor.
Mhm.
We know them as people, and we know that they keep us safe, but we don't realize the bad side of everything we deal with.
Yeah.
And we just take for granted that they're there and they're going to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But we're not checking on them as friends to see how they're doing emotionally and mentally. Um, I think if more of the communities, or the public, understood what their first responders and their military people went through, all emergency service workers, and our dispatchers, believe it or not, our tow truck drivers, all these people in these communities are seeing the worst that um, life has to offer.
Yeah.
Um, so when we're educating people on what PTSD is, or these operational stress injuries,
Yeah.
and reminding everybody that we're all human beings
Mm.
and we're not programmed to see the crap that we see,
Yeah.
nor deal with it. And how do we deal with it? I'll tell you from my experience, it's that just having somebody there to listen.
Mhm.
I don't need you to tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yep.
You're going to get better.
Yeah.
Half the time, I just need a hug. I need to be allowed to have a cry,
Mhm.
and just somebody there to listen.
Yeah.
And if we as the human race could just do that for one another,
Yeah.
it would be it would be the world would be a great place.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
so really, you'll hear quite a few of us discussing, or raising the point that our uniforms don't define us. Our uniforms um, are basically just an extension of who we are as a person.
Yeah.
Um, uh, at the end of the day, you strip off the duty belt, the headset, the uniform, underneath we're human beings, and those of us with PTSD and OSIs, um, we all speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get our loved ones and our communities to understand that language? So still a lot of work, but yeah, that's the goal, is to walk the country, and no real timeline. We're hoping to be able to do it within 8 to 10 months.
Wow.
That you
Incredible.
know, mathematically it can be done in 4 months. But taking the time to be there for other people,
Yeah.
and right, it's all about, I'm just a guy, and I have a story like a whole bunch of us, but it's in hopefully inspiring or motivating somebody to stand up and say, I've had too many years of this, too many years of being afraid to ask for help,
Mm-hmm.
and it's me, just a guy with a story, hopefully getting somebody up off their ass, and reaching out
Yes.
for help, right?
Yes, I love that. You're definitely inspiring. I know, just hearing what you were doing, I was like, I want to talk to this person. This is amazing. Because you're actually taking action. You're doing it. A lot of
Yeah.
people talk the talk, but you're actually walking this very long walk soon.
Yeah. Just geez, April 1st of 2022, we will,
Let's launch date.
um well, we'll be in Vancouver,
Uh-huh.
British Columbia, to set things up, um for obvious reasons. We don't want to kick off the media stuff, and start the walk on April 1st. But April, yeah,
No
go figure.
fooling.
No fooling. Um, so April 2nd, we'll start the walk on April 2nd.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great way to see, all of what Canada has to offer, and meet
Yeah.
some pretty amazing people. And with what I would really love to do is, at some point, if I could create this walking bucket list, is make my way down to the States and do some walking with first responders and military folk down that way.
That would be phenomenal. I feel like a ton of people would just be like, yes, we're doing it. We're taking time off work.
Yeah,
Sorry, not asking permission. I'm going.
yeah, just do it.
Just
Just do
do
it.
it. That's so cool. So tying it in, walking and whatnot, with our third pillar, which is all about movement, um, is walking your favorite thing to move your body, or is it something else?
Up until August 9th,
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, the best way to move my body for quite some time was, get out of bed and hit the couch and grab snacks. Then it was August 9th, after announcing that I'd walked Canada, that I finally got off my ass and
I
hung
love your
up my
honesty.
yeah, hung up the Captain Couch Potato uniform, and just
Yes.
started walking. Ran over to a store, got myself a pair of good Nikes, and
Mhm.
just started walking. And it was within, geez, I don't even think it was 2 weeks in, and I was already addicted to walking. I was finding, um, things in my own neighborhood that,
Mhm.
I didn't know existed. I had driven by them a
Mhm.
thousand times, but
Mhm.
you start, oh wow, that's a pretty neat smell. That is, I didn't notice that eagle's nest before. I did,
Mhm.
you just start getting in touch with your senses.
Yes.
Um, I used to, once upon a time, really enjoy, kayaking and canoeing and
Mhm.
hiking. But that dark path, that that so many of us find doing our jobs just sort of it sucks all the enjoyment out of life, and you just find what's easy. And easy a lot of times is, you know, keep cuddled up in bed under your duvet,
Yeah, so
or
true.
finding um, shows on television that you can just binge watch, and you don't have to go very far. You know, you just that becomes you.
Hmm.
I've got to say, when I was younger and before I abused my legs and back, and
Hmm.
the rest of my body doing the workouts and sports, and my brief stint in the military.
Hmm.
Um, I used to love running, but I can't run. I like mountain biking. Um, but the damage I've done to my body physically,
Hmm.
for what I believed all the right reasons, athletics
Hmm.
and taking care of myself,
Hmm.
has put my body into that stage where cycling or running or jogging the country just are not practical.
Hmm.
So, walking it is.
Yeah.
Walking also allows that the most important thing is other people, to be able to walk with me for
Yeah.
a period of time. And, if it's just for a hug or a high five,
Yeah.
um, or they want to share their story. They've kept a story bottled up for how many years, and they just want to talk to somebody that can relate.
Yep.
If I was cycling, running, jogging, people wouldn't have that opportunity. So
Yeah.
it's the selfish part of what I'm doing is for my self health,
Hmm.
my well being.
Hmm.
The unselfish part is helping others along the way. So
Yeah.
it's that sort of selfish working with unselfish. Um, I don't know what the term would be for that.
Self-love.
Excuse me. There you go. And as much as I say it's about me, it's really about we.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I love
So
that. And walking is good. You could do it anywhere in any country. So you could take this, mobile once the pandemic opens up and
yeah,
do
there
the
we go.
same
We'll
thing to
just
raise awareness around the globe if you so choose.
heck yeah. Find me the sponsors for that one, and I'll clearly take on the world.
Just keep sharing your story and they'll come to you. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I love it. Um, and that kind of ties in nicely to you talk a lot about, you had these other experiences, pre-injuries, life adjustments and whatnot. And the easy route was to sit on the couch, but you made a decision to get up and move. What was that moment for you where you were like, no more couch time. I'm getting up and moving.
I think that one of those natural things that we all go through is, geez, I got to have a shower. And oh my God, who is that guy walking in front of the mirror? And
Mm.
went from, you know, wow, I guess the pride I have, there's the pride I have in wearing my uniform, having the shiny boots and the clean patrol car.
Yeah.
And then there's, the, the self care. I'm
Yep.
sure I'll shave my face and brush my teeth, comb my hair. But at some point, I lost that the drive, I guess, for my fitness.
Hmm.
And oh, geez, everybody loves McDonald's. Got to have a Big Mac and supersized fries. Versus, you know what? Maybe tonight's a salad night, or tonight is steak and potato night.
Hmm.
It's, oh geez, McDonald's is just down the road. Why not make it easy, or
Yeah.
chips and salsa, whatever it may be. I got to the point where, are my pants really fitting? Um, yeah, you look in the mirror, and I just wasn't happy with myself. So
Yeah.
I knew I had to start training for walking across Canada.
Hmm.
And that starts with just one step. The second is I want to feel good about myself. I want
Yeah.
to, it's not for anybody else. It's for me. We all
Mhm.
know that great feeling
Yeah.
of when we feel good about ourselves, positive energy flows.
Mhm.
Um, so it was that was really my turning point. And I don't know if it was both at the same moment as going for a shower, saying, "Oh my God," and, and saying, "Geez," at the same time. Now's the moment I've got to go get my shoes and just start walking. It was just something triggered in my head. Got to go buy sneakers. Got to start walking.
I love it. And you did it. And you didn't
I did it.
hesitate. There's
No, I didn't.
so many of us, I feel like, and you might agree with this, maybe you've experienced it in the workplace where people talk about, oh, one day, by and by, I'm gonna buy that house. I'm gonna start that business. But they, for whatever reason, they just don't do it.
Yes.
But you actually did. You took action. And how's your training going right now?
Uh, the only, yeah, I've got to say great.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other word. I'm out there doing it.
Yeah, you are.
When it's minus 35 degrees Celsius, whatever
Woo,
that is in Fahrenheit, I don't know. You know what? It's cold.
it's
And
cold. It sounds
it's
really
cold.
cold.
So for you, you folks down in the South, if you relate to Alaska coldness, well, you can't relate. You just see it on TV and say, "Oh boy, that's cold."
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have long winters such as Alaska and our northern territories, but we get our spells of really freaking cold.
Yep.
And I easy enough to make the decision. You wake up in the morning, you look at the temperature outside, say there's no way.
Yeah.
But the minute you start making excuses, you
Mm-hmm.
lose that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think we as people, we all go through it.
Yep.
I pre-COVID, I like traveling um, at least twice a year to some hot place. So it was the crash diets, hitting the gym.
Yeah.
And 4 months in, oh, I can fit into last year's swim trunks. I feel good. I don't have to suck my gut in anymore.
Yeah.
And so you feel good about yourself. Then you go on your vacation. And when you return from your vacation, it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I felt good for 2 weeks and
Yep.
now I just get back into the grind. So you lose that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one of the big things I learned at Camp My Way is, there should be no excuses.
Yes.
You have that seed planted in your brain that you're going to do something. Just do it.
Yes.
And walking across Canada is before discussing it with all the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I made the announcement. I'm walking Canada, and there's days genuinely I wonder what the heck did I get myself into, and the work that goes with it.
Yeah.
It's not just it's no longer just a guy walking across country, man. You've got to have a management team. You've got to have a board of directors because you're bringing in money as a nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
organization. You want to
Mm-hmm.
do the right things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here. Yeah.
I'm dealing with
Yeah.
that myself. Yeah.
Well, have fun with it. But it's all these loopholes just for doing a simple thing, and really it's overwhelming. But I get that 2 to 3 hours a day where I'm out on my walk. I
Yeah.
put my earbuds in. I'm gone. I'm in a different reality. I'm already mentally walking across the country as I train every day.
Yes. I love that visualizing.
It's you just that's 2 to 3 hours a day where I forget about anything that is negative going on in my
Yeah.
life,
So
right? So
powerful.
it's a great tool. Great tool.
I love that. What do you listen to typically? Is it music or podcasts or
You know what? It's music, and being a child of the '70s and a product of the '80s, or or the other way around. It's
Yeah.
I listen to great 80s hair bands, and
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta keep the drive going. And I on my my iPod thingy, I had
Mhm.
a great mix of music: country, rock, heavy metal,
Mhm.
sappy stuff, techno music.
Mhm.
But I found my walking rhythm would always
Mhm.
go with whatever's playing. So you
Yep.
get into some
Mine too.
cheesy love ballad, you're like,
Mhm.
I just
It's
want
too
to,
slow.
yeah, it's too slow. So now, yeah, I stream my music and try to keep it upbeat, so I can keep that rhythm going.
Mhm.
So yeah, all sorts of different stuff, and just stuff to keep my energy level up, and
Yeah.
thinking positive thoughts. No angry music. It's just all, yeah, good 80s rock.
That's awesome. Now, if people are, listening to the story or watching the show and they're wanting to support you on your journey, what's the best way they can support you with that?
Well, they can reach out. They tell you what. There's so many different avenues. They can get me at LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and just my name, Chad Kennedy. I'm on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram
Hmm.
at C2C for PTSD.
Okay.
And if you follow us on social media, I'm really hoping the management team will have our website up and running um, for April 2nd. So the 1 year
Good.
out mark.
Awesome.
And I'll have that, believe me, I'll have it plastered
Yeah.
um, all over social media. And on the website, it shares my story and what C2C for PTSD is all about.
Hmm.
And it will also have a donation section for all the grateful people out there,
Hmm.
or generous people. And as well as we'll have some merchandise for sale.
Awesome.
So yeah, so social media for now, and this I guess baby steps, steering everything into the right direction so it's done properly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Awesome. So
and
whoever's listening or watching as we air this, you need to follow Chad Kennedy everywhere on social media. We'll make sure to get you on TikTok too. And what's the other big one? Clubhouse is a good one too, but it's not recorded right now. But there's a lot of active users on there. So if we can get people to follow you everywhere, that's going to really build
everywhere.
out, spread it
Yeah,
out.
really cool. I'm still learning half of what the social media stuff is out there. I
Me
thought social
too.
media was Facebook, and now it's everywhere.
It's a everyday journey, and you just follow those that have the big followings that are sharing good value, and that's how you grow yourself as well. Always love to close out the show with something random, impromptu, and help the audience get to know you a little bit better. So what is, because you're exercising a lot, right? So what is your go-to healthy snack, or maybe not so healthy snack
Oh no.
after like a long walk? What's the first thing that you love to go have a treat with? No judgment. There's no judgment.
There's no judgment. I after a long walk, I you know what, anything salty.
Okay.
Um, so geez, in my cupboards, I probably have 6 or 7 half bags of chips, or
Okay.
some sort. So it's a handful of chips.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I believe it or not, I chug back a diet Pepsi to go with my salty, disgusting chips. And then it's right into a hot bath. So I'm away from the cupboards,
Then you
rest my
get some self-care.
muscles. Yeah, and then yeah, I pamper myself with Epsom salts, and play Candy Crush in the bathtub, and
Yes.
then I'll come out and I'll make something healthy. But salty snacks. If you want to win my heart, spoil me with salty snacks.
So any salty snacks, or do you have a favorite one?
You know, let's go Doritos. Just
Doritos,
Doritos.
the Cooler
And
Ranch, or the orange? What is the orange one? The
you
Cheeto
know,
cheddar one?
yeah, cheddar's good.
Cheddar.
Salty cheddar deliciousness. Ah, I love it. Hey, I'm
Somebody's
just a
gonna ship
guy.
you a big box. I know it. They're gonna be like, "Woo," from Costco.
Oh no, the Costco size. Oh no.
You gotta have enough
Yeah.
snacks. Maybe plant them on your journey, like a few
Oh
kilometers
yeah.
apart.
There we
Something.
go. My little stash boxes along the way.
Exactly. Don't eat these guys. Just put it under cones.
People would start questioning how it can take me 15 hours to do 10 miles. It'll be, geez, you got to stop for the cheesy Doritos. Come on.
Exactly. Well, this has been super fun. I'm super excited to follow your journey with everything. Thank you again so much for your time today.
And thank you, Erin, and thank you for everything you do for us first responders and for our military community.
Absolutely.